Now at 9, the Wyandotte School District is asking voters to approve a $2 million bond. We'll tell you what it would fund. Plus, the Cherokee County Health Department holds a presentation on protecting yourself from tick bites. And homecoming at a Kansas City school turns controversial after a transgender student is crowned queen.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Tanya Bach. 2 people are injured in a motorcycle crash last night in Bourbon County. The Kansas Highway Patrol says the crash happened 5 miles southeast of Mapleton. Troopers say 2 motorcycles were heading south on K7 at a high rate of speed and failed to negotiate a curve. One of the motorcycles left the road and hit a guardrail. The second motorcycle then hit the first. Donovan Zorns and Richard Springston, both of Fort Scott, were taken to hospitals with serious injuries. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy joins us with a first look at your forecast.
Well, it turned out to be a warm one for us again today. We did actually go into the mid to upper 80s for highs. Record highs 93 on this day. Temperature still fairly warm. Right now 75 in Nevada, 72 in Neosho, Welch at 73, 70 in Parsons. We're going to drop back mid 60s a little bit later on tonight. All right, pretty much clear skies. We are going to get some clouds working in here as we go through the overnight hours. Here's our next storm system building out to the west, and this is going to start to work in and affect us especially tomorrow afternoon and then really lasting into Thursday. Through the night, clouds increase. We drop back to about 66, and of course, we're going to be talking about showers and thunderstorms increasing for us, all coming up here in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. The Cherokee County Health Department is trying to raise awareness of tick-borne diseases with a Tick Talk presentation. KOAM's Elise Noe has more.
The Cherokee County Health Department held a presentation about alpha-gal syndrome, an incurable tick-borne disease found in the Lone Star tick that causes an allergy to red meat.
Unfortunately, there's no real cure for the alpha-gal. At this time, we just treat the symptoms. So there's nothing that magically takes it away.
When those who have contracted alpha-gal syndrome first start to notice something's wrong, they often confuse their symptoms like nausea and hives for another illness. For Jackie Jonas, a Kansas cattle rancher, she had experienced symptoms like fatigue and hives, never knowing what was wrong until her health took a turn.
It came to a head. I had a seizure, and they took me to the hospital, and that's when they really started looking into what was going on.
That's when Jonas was diagnosed with alpha-gal syndrome, and for the Kansas rancher, the adjustment to avoiding red meat was a challenge.
It's awful. We raise our own beef, but pork makes me sicker than beef. I can't even cook pork.
Alpha-gal is a sugar molecule that, when injected into the human bloodstream, causes an allergic reaction to red meat, milk, and even gelatin capsules that are often used for medications. Now, ticks are typically found in tall grass and wooded areas like this, but they're also in your gardens, in your bushes, and as the seasons change, they're also in fallen leaves. So be sure to double check the kiddos after they've jumped around in the fall leaves. Extra steps you can take to prevent tick-borne diseases when outside. Make sure to wear long, light-colored clothing, and you can always apply bug spray for an extra layer of protection. In Cherokee County, Elise Noe, KOAM News.
Well, health officials say tick season is typically over in mid-November, around the first hard freeze of the year. One area attraction is turning some heads nationwide. Annabelle's Fun Farm provides a pumpkin patch, corn maze, and offers over 45 new attractions. The 13-year-old farm has been voted lucky number 13 in the country for this type of attraction. Fame is fine, but for the co-owner, the farm is really about the fun.
You can expect just to have a blast. We got lots of food, drinks, ice cream shop, games, rides. We have a carousel, train ride, slide, ball zone, jumping pillow. There's something for everybody to do out here, from if you're just 2 to 92, even miniature golf, you can come in and play.
Annabelle's is open on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. And the Pitt State Jazz Ensemble is getting ready for its first concert of the season. The concert is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It'll be at the Bicknell Family Center for the Arts. Tickets are free to the public, showcasing both soloist and vocalist alike.
Trying to get us back to our roots of jazz, doing some classics, having people sing, having people get up in front of an audience and sing and have stage presence. We're having a couple people count off tunes and direct because we have a lot of music education majors.
It definitely is nervous at first walking up to the mic, but once I'm singing, it's just magical, it's freeing. It's just like improvising. I feel like I have freedom over everything, and it's really cool to get some of the spotlight.
PSU Jazz Combo will also be playing tomorrow evening. Well, a dozen Southwest Missouri schools or school districts will get grants for safety improvements under a $50 million state bill just signed by the governor. Joplin will get the maximum allowed, $300,000. Neosho and McDonald County schools each get $250,000. Carl Junction and Nevada get $200,000 each, and Diamond gets $100,000. 6 other schools or districts in our area will receive smaller grants. You can find the complete list at KOAMnewsnow.com. Wyandotte, Oklahoma schools are seeking taxpayers' approval for a new $2 million building to connect the kindergarten and first grade building. Students, mostly the younger ones, walk through the open area to go to the office, clinic, or the gym. School officials say this poses a security and safety risk. This new building will not only provide shelter to students moving from building to building, but also add 4 classrooms and a set of bathrooms for the growing student body.
That bond is paid off, and so this bond will be just following. It won't cause any increase for the taxpayers. We're paying off a bond, and the bond that's coming in would be a little bit less if it passes than what it started with the last bond.
The election is scheduled for next Tuesday, October 10th. Well, picking a homecoming queen has become controversial at an Oak Park High School in Kansas City. That's because Tristan Young won the title as a transgender woman. Juan Kim has more.
It is demeaning, but it's also repetitive.
17-year-old Tristan Young is trying to find her normal amid the chaos.
Navigating through the darkness of hate, like you just get a sea of love, contrasting it.
Tristan has been the center of national attention since this moment on September 15th.
Miss Tristan Young.
I was on the field and in my head I was saying, say my name, say my name, say my name.
A moment of pure joy and a longtime dream. She was crowned homecoming queen at Oak Park High School, nominated and voted on by the student body.
People talk about how adults played a role in this and how society transformed this. This is high school students that voted for this. Completely not the decisions of adults.
Oak Park High School senior Cruz Lewis feels the backlash isn't representative of the support that was in the stands that night. He says the reality is Tristan Young is a beloved member of the school and the votes speak for themselves.
I had a voice in my head saying, like, people still see you as a man. And obviously that doesn't feel good. So when I was called into the library and told I was up for queen, it made me feel like a woman.
Tristan tells me her dream is to become a writer and for people to care about what she has to say. So with her voice, this is her message today.
There is a way you can be happy in being trans because there is a lot of hate in the world, but there's also so much good.
Well, Young started transitioning during her sophomore year, but says she knew she wanted to be a woman since the 7th grade. Well, coming up, how doctors are dealing with an antibiotic shortage as the respiratory virus season starts to pick up. The FDA announced a proposal to step up its oversight of a growing category of medical tests. Currently, the FDA approves and clears a variety of tests used in hospitals or labs. But for decades, the agency has given standalone labs wide leeway to develop and use their own test in-house, called laboratory developed tests. The agency says the proposed rule will be valuable given the importance of the test in medical decision making. Well, the CDC is recommending new guidelines to prevent the spread of sexually transmitted diseases. The draft proposal is urging doctors to prescribe the antibiotic doxycycline, PEP, to certain patients more at risk of contracting diseases like gonorrhea or syphilis. The CDC recommends this new guideline apply only to men having sex with men and transgender women. The agency is asking the public to comment about the recommendation. Well, it's that time of year again. Respiratory virus cases typically start to rise in October, peaking between December and February. And this season, the U.S. is facing another shortfall in a common antibiotic to help treat bacterial infections that may happen when a child is sick. Mandy Gaither has more on what parents need to know.
It's the most prescribed antibiotic in the U.S., but for the second winter in a row, liquid amoxicillin is in short supply.
Unfortunately, this is not the first time we've been through this.
Dr. Nusheen Aminuddin with Mayo Clinic says most illnesses in fall and winter are caused by viruses, which won't respond to antibiotics. Amoxicillin and other similar medications fight secondary infections caused by bacteria.
There are alternatives that we can use in almost all cases, and so it's not like we're going into this with absolutely no options.
Amoxicillin powder remains on the U.S. Food and Drug Administration shortage list. It's mixed to make the liquid form and given to young children who aren't able to swallow pills. The shortfall was first declared by the FDA last October. Since amoxicillin pills and tablets are not in short supply, Aminuddin says some pediatricians may use those instead.
We can maybe crush a tablet and give that to a child so they get the same amount of the medication that can then be mixed into like a teaspoonful of a food that they might be willing to eat.
And there are other antibiotics as well that can be used to treat a child suffering from illnesses like pneumonia or an ear infection.
Sometimes they're a little stronger, sometimes they might cause more side effects. And so that's why amoxicillin has been a go-to for us for many decades. But we do have other options if your child needs antibiotic treatment.
Well, Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, Miami High School softball standout announces her commitment to play at the Division I level.
Well, it turned out to be another warm one for us today. Upper 80s, 4 highs like we have seen really for about a week straight. And we're going to do that again as we go into the daytime hours tomorrow. And then we're going to start to see some changes moving in. Looks okay right now. Nice shot. Indigo sky. Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, Pittsburgh 69, 72 in Neosho, 74 in Carthage, Independence sitting at 73. Let's go outside here, 7th and Rangeline, 74. Visibility is good. Southerly winds are light at about 5 to 10. Through the night, we slide back into the mid 60s, overnight low right around 66 across the 4-state area. We do have some mid and upper level clouds which are starting to increase. You can see them really picking up just to the west of Wichita. Showers, thunderstorms, parts of Colorado down through the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, and that is our next storm system that is heading toward us. You can see this big upper level low, which is shifting off toward the east. So let's go through time. Let's go through the week. This upper level low works east. We get showers, we get thunderstorms with a front that drives in, and then still some rain sticking around all the way into Thursday morning. And as it shifts by into the Great Lakes as we head into the weekend, on the backside, we get a northwest flow, and that's going to bring in cooler Canadian air, and it's actually going to feel like fall across the area. Let me walk you through the next 48 hours. Clouds increase tonight. Overall, looking pretty good, mid 60s. As we go through the morning hours, we have mostly cloudy skies. We could get a spotty shower or two trying to pop up early afternoon into the middle of the afternoon. These are going to be random, so most of you stay dry. And then as we go into tomorrow night, look at the band of showers and thunderstorms along the I-35 corridor. So this is about 11 p.m. So these drive in. They will weaken some as they push in, but could see some heavy amounts of rain. 4 a.m. Wednesday morning, this batch of rain rolls through. We'll have scattered showers, a few thunderstorms around on Wednesday morning, and then they'll flare up again. Wednesday evening, we'll see a batch Wednesday night into Thursday morning. So really kind of 2 rounds, and then things will calm down for us as we go into Thursday. All right, starting at 66, back to 85 once again for us tomorrow mostly cloudy skies, potential rainfall. I think most areas will at least pick up a quarter to a half an inch. Some areas are going to get 3/4 of an inch, pushing an inch, especially in our southern counties. And we could still use the rain. 85 for us tomorrow, cooler, 78 on Wednesday, 76 Thursday, only 67 on Friday. Saturday morning starting at 41, 66 Saturday afternoon. Then we slowly climb back into the 70s early next week, but we get a nice little stretch of pretty good temperatures as we go through next week. Tanya?
Yeah. Well, coming up, restarting those payments.
If you're one of the 1 in 5 American adults with student loan debt, get ready for some serious adulting. After a 3-year pause, payments are back on. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. We'll tell you where you can get some help coming up.
A report says Americans are not pinching pennies right now. A report by the Wall Street Journal says despite inflation, consumers are not holding back spending. They're paying for once-in-a-lifetime wishes like dream vacations and travel, concerts, or even designer handbags. Consumer spending was up 5.8% in August compared to a year prior. For the first time in more than 3 years, tens of millions are on the hook for their student loan payments again, forcing tough choices for those who suddenly have to cough up hundreds of dollars a month. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports from Washington.
For the nearly 44 million Americans who owe a total of $1.6 trillion in federal student loans, October is going to be rough. Payments are resuming this month after a 3-year pause.
I am a father of 5, so, a lot of money that would have gone to stuff like that, outings, a little extra stuff from the groceries, just to make sure that the student loans are paid off.
The average monthly payment on a federal student loan is about $210 for an associate's degree, $280 for a bachelor's, and $585 for a master's degree, according to bestcolleges.com.
83% in particular will have to make financial changes. 23% anticipate cutting between $500 and $1,000 a month out of their budget.
To soften the blow, the Biden administration has created a 12-month grace period for those who miss a payment.
And if you miss payments, this on-ramp will temporarily remove the threat of default or having your credit harmed, which can hurt borrowers for years to come.
The federal government has several plans that can help if you're struggling. The SAVE program can reduce minimum payments from 10% of discretionary income down to 5%. There's also the Fresh Start program.
In the Fresh Start program, they will make your loans current, which is amazing because then they report it to the credit bureaus and your credit score will go up.
To find out more, you can go to studentaid.gov. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Well, up next, a woman in Pennsylvania is combining her 2 favorite things, Taylor Swift and Halloween. We're going to check out the giant Halloween decoration she made for the pop star. Well, can you tell who this skeleton in suburban Allentown, Pennsylvania is supposed to be? Well, some people can. People who call themselves Swifties. Meet Scalar Swift. The blonde hair is 3 wigs sewn together to help create the pop star's trademark bangs. And the dress is blue to go along with Swift's release of her newly re-recorded album, 1989, later this month. Now, Michael Owens, who created Scalar Swift, also made a companion skeleton, yes, waiting for this one, modeled after, well, I don't think it's a rumor anymore, folks, boyfriend Travis Kelce. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. Former President Donald Trump appears in court for the fraud trial against him and his companies. Plus, the latest on calls from some Republican members of the House to remove Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. Former President Donald Trump took a break from campaigning to focus on his legal issues today. Trump traveled to New York to defend his real estate empire from allegations of fraud. Fox's Anna Iliopoulos has the story.
This is a disgraceful trial put forward by the Attorney General, Mr. Rupp.
A defiant President Trump back in a New York courtroom, this time voluntarily, to hear opening statements in a civil fraud trial, accusing him, his 2 sons, and his company of inflating Trump's net worth to deceive banks to get better loans and insurance policies.
They weren't defrauded. I've been defrauded.
While Trump may disagree, last week, the judge overseeing the case ruled the former president and his associates did defraud banks and insurers. This trial will determine the amount of damages owed. At stake, $250 million in penalties, as well as some of Trump's most prized real estate holdings, including Trump Tower. New York Attorney General Letitia James also wants to ban Trump and his associates from doing business in New York.
The law is both powerful and fragile, and today in court, we will prove our case.
Trump and his legal team maintain he did nothing wrong, alleging it doesn't matter what Trump put down in his financial statements because they have a disclaimer saying they shouldn't be trusted. Instead, they claim this case is politically motivated.
This is nothing more than election interference.
The trial is expected to last until December. Several witnesses could be called to testify, including Trump and his children. His legal team says the former president is ready if that should happen.
He's going to take a stand and he's going to fight back like he always has.
It's important to note this is not a criminal case. This is a civil lawsuit, so there is no possibility of jail time for the former president. In New York, Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Well, the Supreme Court is declining to take up a case that argues former President Trump is ineligible to run again. The case was filed by a little-known Republican presidential candidate named John Anthony Castro. Now, Castro points to the 14th Amendment, which he argues should disqualify Donald Trump from serving in office because of January 6th, that bans office holders from future elections if they aid or engage in an insurrection. The Supreme Court is shutting down that argument without comment or a recorded vote. A new surge of migrants is reaching the highest total this year. The Border Patrol has apprehended more than 200,000 migrants crossing the border from Mexico into the U.S. That's up from 181,000 the previous month, according to Homeland Security officials. It also marks the largest number of border arrests this year. This new surge of migrants is straining federal resources and the cities trying to house them. Those concerns are likely to be a topic during the annual U.S.-Mexico security talks this week. Republicans and Democrats worked together to keep the government from shutting down this weekend, and now the leading Republican in Congress has to deal with the fallout. A Florida congressman wants him removed from his leadership position, which could impact Capitol proceedings for weeks. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor has more from Washington.
While the top House Republican, Speaker Kevin McCarthy, avoided a government shutdown on his watch, the celebration might be short-lived with his job now on the line.
It is becoming increasingly clear who the Speaker of the House already works for, and it's not the Republican conference.
Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida is planning an attempt to strip the Speaker of his role after McCarthy relied on Democrats to provide the necessary votes to keep the government running.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing it this week.
Gaetz and his other far-right cohorts also want to stop sending money to Ukraine. Another reason they want McCarthy out.
If somebody wants to make a motion because I kept government open and kept paying the troops while we did our work, I'll take that fight any day of the week.
It's unclear how Democrats would vote if McCarthy's job is put to one. But any removal process could halt the business of Congress for weeks.
I cannot conceive of a more counterproductive and self-destructive course than that. Do they honestly believe that when the Democrats side with them to remove a Republican speaker, that they will then side with them to name a more conservative replacement? Of course not.
While Gaetz wants McCarthy out, some House GOP members want to turn the tables on him and are preparing a motion to expel. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Well, don't panic Wednesday when your smartphone lets out a loud screech. The federal government is planning a nationwide test of the emergency alert system at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time. The test will include wireless emergency alerts in addition to television and radio. You should also receive a text message telling you it's only a test. This will mark only the second time the federal government has sent the alert to mobile phones. Well, a bit later, we'll learn about a burglar who was caught on camera singing before breaking into a home. Well, high winds caused another large dust plume to come off the Great Salt Lake in Utah. Fox's Darian Debrulay shows us why some people are concerned and what problems local experts are still working to solve.
Past the growing Salt Lake City skyline, a plume of dust lifted above the Great Salt Lake and traveled into the air Saturday.
The dust storms produce particulate matter and basically particles in the atmosphere. And when you breathe those particles in the atmosphere, some of those remain in your lungs. And the people that are most likely to be impacted by breathing these particles are the elderly, children, people with pre-existing conditions like asthma or COPD. But at high enough concentrations, it can affect everybody regardless.
Kevin Perry, professor of atmospheric sciences at the University of Utah, says he first noticed dust plumes coming off the Great Salt Lake 13 years ago. The first severe one, 7 years ago.
These big events like we had yesterday seem to happen somewhere between 10 or 15 times a year. But what we don't yet have a good measure of are smaller dust events.
The lake did rise a few feet this year, but Perry says 90% of the dust hotspots are still exposed.
In addition to the particles coming off the lake, we've identified that there are certain metals in the dust. We know that there are high concentrations of arsenic in the dust. What we don't have proof yet is whether or not that arsenic is actually being delivered to the surrounding communities.
But he's hopeful answers will come soon.
We're working with the Utah Division of Air Quality to set up monitors in places that would be able to capture the dust better so that we can determine whether or not arsenic and other metals are posing an actual threat to the people who live along the Wasatch Front.
All right, well, coming up in sports, we hear from the Missouri Southern Lions football team in their weekly press conference. Plus, a high school student from Miami commits to Mizzou. Brock Baldridge has the story in sports.
The Missouri Southern Lions are 3-2 to begin this season. The Lions coming off of a really tough loss to Central Oklahoma. Lost that game in the last play of the game, but Southern looks to bounce back this week for homecoming against Fort Hays State.
But no, we played a hard-fought game. You know, we went down there, and my hat goes off to Coach Durrell and his crew. They were definitely greased up and presented some issues for us. Just like a win, there was a ton of stuff to look at and learn from. You know, we definitely will be a better team after this game.
Just gotta continue doing what we're doing. You know, I think we're playing pretty well, so just gotta go out there and keep doing what we're doing.
On the Miami War Dogs softball team advanced to the Super Regionals. Big week continued for the War Dogs as one of their players announced her commitment to the University of Missouri. Sydney Forrester of Miami, Oklahoma announced she plans to continue her academic and softball career at the University of Missouri when she graduates high school. Forrester is only a junior, but she was a key piece to the War Dogs winning their regional championship last week. Forrester is excited for the opportunity to play at the next level.
It was just amazing. Like, I loved all the girls there. Like, everyone introduced me. Like, it was so loving and welcoming. The field is great. The culture there is amazing too after I had gone to the football game, but everything about it was amazing, as well as the coaching staff, like I said. I can't even explain the love that I've gotten from so many people here, and I'm not trying to say this, but it doesn't, you don't see it a lot coming from Miami. So I take a lot of pride in coming from Miami and, trying to build a foundation, maybe set other girls and other guys, just to maybe come to Miami.
And the high school volleyball season rolls on for a few more weeks, and tonight, one of the top matchups in Missouri Class 1. Fortunately, we're unable to get those highlights from this match due to scheduling conflict. However, we do have a final score in this one. It was Jasper who wins this 3-0. The Eagles stay undefeated to improve to 22-0 on the season. And the votes are in from everyone who voted this weekend in our poll for our performance of the week, and that goes to the Parsons Vikings. After their dominating 27-0 victory, Parsons is now perfect 5-0 on the season. Second straight year they've been 5-0. Vikings will look to make it 6-0 when they host the Galena Bulldogs this Friday night. LBO Sports will be right back with more news right after this.
Doorbell camera footage picked up a burglar doing more than just getting ready to break in. Fox's Eric Perry reports.
Atlanta police don't want you to just look at this man in a surveillance video, but hear his voice as they say he provided a pre-burglary melody.
I would never expect somebody to break in your house in daytime like that.
Derek Kelsey lives inside the home and says surveillance cameras caught the man moments before he broke into this home in the Sebring Road area Saturday morning.
My roommate like running through, like shoeboxes out the order. I ain't did it before, so I like, what's going on? So check on my bed, my gun missing. So check the camera, and on the camera see somebody knocking on the door, saying act like they was trying to convince like they were a good person, but it really wasn't.
Kelsey says it happened just before noon while he was at work and says the man then got into his house through a side window. He believes the man used his vocals to deter from his mischievous intentions.
It's all a game or a scam to try to get you to open that door. That's all it was.
As Atlanta police work to identify the songbird in the video.
Need that camera. That camera is important.
Kelsey suggests the man should use his voice for money instead of stealing.
It's all good, bro. Like, if you need it that bad, you gotta get your own money, man. Get your own money. Not take from somebody else who work hard for their money, you know?
Well, coming up, with the temperatures dropping this week, we'll tell you about the new home entertainment options for a cozy night in. An invisible killer, supernatural forces, and award-winning artist are among the new digital DVD and music releases available to add to your home library. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin runs down the list of what's new in home entertainment.
Topping this week's list of what's new in home entertainment, the Predator prequel, Prey, is set 300 years in the past and follows a female Comanche Nation warrior battling an invisible killer. Talk to me. In the horror flick Talk to Me, a group of friends unleash supernatural forces after using a mysterious embalmed hand to contact spirits.
We got a 904 on Old Finch Road.
John Travolta, Kevin Dillon, and Stephen Dorff star in the crime thriller Mobland. It centers on a young father who puts his family in danger after a robbery goes wrong.
How do these things work?
It's magic.
A family uses a magical box of animal crackers to save their circus from their evil uncle in the animated movie Animal Crackers.
Light 'em up.
Our pleasure, boss.
Small screen favorites to own, season 2 of the crime drama NCIS Hawaii, starring Vanessa Lachey. For music fans, Grammy-winning artist Darius Rucker pays homage to his late mother with his new album, Carolyn's Boy. Old Dominion expands their Memory Lane EP into a full-length project that includes previously released fan favorites and features special guest collaborations. And Keanu Reeves' rock band Dogstar released their new album, Somewhere Between the Power Lines and Palm Trees. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We leave you with video of pandas at the Washington National Zoo. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.